This is Talking Tipsee with your host, Dallas Jackson. He's sitting down with the singers, the songwriters, and the wild ones behind the hits for all the unfiltered stories, bad decisions, and the truth straight from the bar stool. So sit back and relax. It's time for Talking Tipsee.
All right, welcome to Talking Tipsee. We got a special guest here, Donnie Reis, good friend, mentor, and we're excited to, and actually veteran as well.
Yes, sir.
So once again, today's show is brought to you by Michael Waltrip Brewery, as well as Four Branches Bourbon. As you can tell, we've gotten into the bourbon a little bit, so we'll be restocking that soon. But yeah, we're excited to be here today, and thanks for coming, Donnie.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think our first time interacting or meeting was actually through Tipsy years ago when we did the Operation Light Shine event at the Fray.
Yep.
And that was with Operation Light Shine and War Hippies.
Yep.
So that's been some time, but over time we've become good friends in different ways and methods, and actually through Maggie Silver, so shout out to her.
Yep. Absolutely.
She's great. And but yeah, so as we get started here, just want to try out our new sound effect here as I get my Waltrip beer rolling. Talladega Light, Michael Waltrip Brewery. Each one's as good as the last one. Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. So we're cooking with gas here. So Donnie. So like I said, we've met, kind of re-met over time here, but let's. I've never really asked you some questions around kind of where you grew up or where you come from. So let's start there. Where were you born and raised?
Actually, so I am born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
I'd say
You didn't strike me as an Ohio guy.
No, born and raised Cincinnati, Ohio. I grew up in a town called Fairfield, about 40 minutes north of the city. Family's still there. Family still lives in Middletown, Lebanon area, outside of Cincinnati. And from there I went on to college at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, and
Yeah, that's awesome. Are you a Bengals fan, I assume?
I mean, fair weather, I guess.
Yeah.
It's I always say that you're a disappointment in perpetuity.
Yeah.
If you're a Bengals fan.
Oh, I'm a Jaguars fan, so
yes, so you understand.
I get it.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So when did you move to Nashville first? Because I know you've been here. You got a good footprint here.
Yeah. So I've been in and out of Nashville since about 2010.
Okay.
So I moved here full time in, I think, 2014, around there. So I've been in Nashville full time for about 11 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got me beat for sure. So I believe I read, or maybe you told me, one of the two, that you went to school for violin. Is that correct?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Yeah. I went to Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. I went on a full violin scholarship. I graduated high school in 1999, showing my age.
Yeah.
Shortly thereafter went to school and studied music. Yeah.
So, I mean, how did you get into playing the violin? Is that like, did you stumble into it like in band class in high school, or was it a family thing? Or
well, it was so back when I was a kid, they used to have the orchestra program, obviously in middle school and high school, and they would bring the orchestra into the elementary schools for a showcase. It would be like come check it out, and then you would have the option if you were interested to tell them you wanted to pick an instrument, play an instrument. So I watched. They came in the first time when I was in the 4th grade. I was 9 years old. I went to my dad, and I saw the string instruments, the violin, and I was drawn to it like a moth to flame, if you will.
Yeah.
And I asked him when I was 9, and he said no, because you had to rent it monthly and stuff like that.
yeah. Why that instrument? Not to interrupt. Of all the string instruments.
Honestly, I don't have any idea.
Okay.
I was just drawn to it. I just wanted, I really just wanted to play it. And then, finally, after begging him for a year, again, they came back when I was in the 5th grade when I was 10. And they finally said, yeah, it's okay. My dad said it's okay. And he just said, just give me your word, you'll learn how to play it.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, I'll never forget, opening the case for the first time, smelling the wood and the rosin,
Yeah.
It was like intoxicating to me. And I took that thing to the bathroom with me for the next, 7 years of my life. I mean,
that's a good image right there.
Yeah. I mean, I played that thing. I mean, it was like, learning how to play it was like, no, I mean, it was my life.
Yeah.
It became everything.
I've never even attempted to play a violin because I just, you watch some bands have it on Broadway, and then of course the big bands have it, but it's just like, it's so different than anything else because either like with drums, you're playing drums, the wind instruments, you're pushing buttons, and the guitars and all that you're plucking, but the violin is just like such a different deal.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, you got your bow, you got the bow technique, and you got, it's also fretless, so it requires requires your ear. It requires a lot of ear training, and you really got to be able to hear to make sure you're in tune. And I got a ton of amazing guitar player friends, and some of the best in the world. And I'll hand them a fiddle, and they'll
just butcher it,
squeak. You know what I mean? And they're like, "How in the world do you play this little thing?" And I'm a bigger guy, so it looks little, and it looks like I'm gonna break it when I'm playing it.
Yeah.
But But I mean, I was drawn to it, and from the first time they ever put one in my hands, I mean, it just took to it real naturally.
Yeah. How do you get to the point where since there are no frets, where you start to memorize that? Is it different per violin too, or?
Well, when you're little, you start with a little violin, and so you start with a little half size or 3/4 size, and then as you grow, you grow into a full size instrument. So but you kind of grow naturally with it. But it's just repetition. You just you figure out where to put your fingers, and you do it over and over and over and over and over again until you get it right.
Now, do you refer to it as a violin always, or a fiddle?
No, man, it's both. It's both for sure. And the when I was growing up, people would always ask my mom. They'd say, what's the difference between a violin and a fiddle? My mom go, Carnegie Hall and Hee Haw. And so it's really just how you play it.
Yeah.
So I'm obviously a classically trained violinist. So I grew up. By the time I graduated high school, I was a concertmaster of 5 different symphony orchestras, and was doing all that from.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, all the classical music. I was the concertmaster of the pit orchestra for the musicals, and the little regional orchestra, and I was in the all-state orchestra, and the whole shebang. But that was all classical, and I kind of had to. Still to this day, even with the big fiddle gigs that I've had, and I've had some pretty big ones. I still say I'm just faking it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think you can kind of. So when you say that. When I'm thinking back in my head to the War Hippies, some of the intros, they're so it's not like a typical song where it's just you hit play, it's 2.5 to 3 minutes and it's off. There's a build up and there's like a melody to it that's different.
Yeah,
and maybe that's coming through.
Well, yeah, well it's when I, especially with the War Hippies, when I was approaching the production and the arrangement and the composition of those tunes, it's there's a combination of a lot of the kind of fiddle stuff but there's a lot of orchestral in there, so there's a lot of that dynamic, the dynamic elements that you would hear in an orchestral composition along with songwriting, which really made it and gave it a unique sound.
Yeah, and so you're going through high school, which obviously leads to the scholarship. Were you doing any kind of like country music or anything like that at that time, or?
No, not at
strictly?
All. No, it was all classical. It was all, my audition piece when I went to college was the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto in D major, Opus 35.
I can't even spell that.
Yeah. Tchaikovsky, Tchaikovsky. But it was all classical, and I kind of struggled with that because piano is my second instrument, and then obviously I play guitar, and I was always trying to find people to teach me, rock and roll and country, and so I that type of stuff I just had to sit and sit in front of a CD player, in front of the listen to something on the bus, and then come home and try to figure it out on the piano, or trying to figure out The Devil Went Down to Georgia and things like that. That's all just, just listening and trying to play it back.
Yeah. I've heard that from different instruments that people do that. And that's still mind blowing to me. I learned one song of the guitar and I just need to get back to it.
Yeah.
I did White House Road.
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, okay. And then I just, feel like that's what people do when they're my age, starting to learn an instrument. So you got to do it when you're younger.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
So-
yeah. Yeah. Well, you have, it's like learning the language, when you're a kid, you're just a sponge.
Right.
And also your world's real small. So you're not thinking about all the things you're thinking about when you're an adult. So you can just focus on it.
For sure.
It makes a big difference.
So yeah, whenever we have our little one, I'm going to make sure he's just locked in a room with instruments.
Yeah. Well, you'll find out real quick if he likes them.
Yeah, for sure. And so I know, so you also, so through college, you do mostly classical stuff.
Yep.
But then I also see that you, and what you shared with me, you've done stuff with Charlie Daniels Band.
Uh-huh.
So that's a big jump from none to just, I mean, that's the top.
Well, there's,
So-
you also got to realize there's 20 years in between,
Yeah.
in between that and in a pretty long career. But yeah, no, I was, after Charlie passed away, God bless him. His best friend, and long time, I believe manager, David Corlew, who's still a great friend of mine. He came into my recording studio and they were getting ready to do the volunteer jam, which is what they do every year at Bridgestone Arena, and they have all the different people come and they were paying tribute to Charlie, and he asked if I would.
What's the volunteer jam?
The volunteer jam was Charlie's big, charity kind of raise where people would volunteer to come and play to raise money, and so it would be everything from Leonard Skinner to Marshall Tucker Band to Big and Rich. I mean, there was a massive amount of people at this. Travis Tritt.
Mm-hmm.
When I did The Devil Went Down to Georgia, Chris Young came up and sang it. And
Okay.
so, yeah, and he had asked me, David came in the studio and asked if I wanted to play The Devil Went Down to Georgia, and the South's going to do it again with the CDB. And I think at first I was shocked,
Yeah.
just to, this to be, that's the pinnacle,
Right.
of being a fiddle player. And it's this kid from Ohio,
Right.
all these years later, it's the dream. And, I looked at him, he's like, so what do you say? And I was like, does a one-legged duck swim in little tiny circles? Like, of course I'll do it,
Yeah.
And then I said something like, I'm scared. And he said, well, you should be, son, but I think you'll be all right.
Yeah. And I assume it went pretty well.
It went good. It was
Yeah.
it was a great time. It was really one of the biggest highlights of my career. And it was a great honor because, Charlie wasn't just a great songwriter and musician. He was a great guitar player, great fiddle player, but he was he was a man's man, and he just did a ton for his community. He was a huge supporter of the troops, did tours overseas to play for him. He gave, just did a ton for his local community. I mean, just, Charlie was just a really great guy.
Yeah.
Just a good man. And
Yeah.
so it was an honor to be asked to stand in those shoes, some big shoes to fill for sure.
Yeah, for real. I mean, have you gotten the opportunity to play with them again?
Yeah,
a few times,
we
or-
did. We had a few shows afterwards, where we did some things with some of the original members of the CDB, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to get up there and kind of run through the whole a bunch of the catalog.
Yeah.
With the band. So it was a lot of fun.
That's cool. And so you're saying that from going through college and doing the classical stuff to Charlie Daniels Band, there's 20 years there. So
Yeah.
what was the first transition into playing more like traditional or country music?
Well, my transition was different. So I took a break from music when I was in college, and went and served in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got back from deploying to Iraq in 2004, finished out my time, and then I went back into music around 2007. And I was actually leading worship up at a large Methodist church from my wife's hometown, Tip City, a church called Ginghamsburg. And there was a local gospel band that were starting to get some headway. And they came in and asked me if I wanted to be part of the band. So I decided, yeah, sure. So we packed it up and we did a live record. We recorded in Springfield, Ohio, which is just outside of Dayton. And the five of us packed it up. It was a band called Champion. The five of us packed it up in we had a Champagne Chrysler minivan. We drove all over the country, and we toured a little EP that we had put together from 2007 to 2010. And in 2010, it's a funny story. We were we were finished with the 10-song record finally. We'd finished producing it, grinding, working this EP. And Amante, the lead singer, and myself were down in Nashville. This is back when Master Mix was down by where like Winners and Losers is. There was a little mastering studio there. So Amante and I are in there with Ken Love.
Was it like right by Red Door kind of?
Yeah, down from there. Yeah. And since 2010, we're in there. We get this record mastered with Ken Love. We're in there. We get the record mastered, and then we were so pressed for time. We had printed all the CD cases, but we didn't have the master yet, so we didn't have the CD cases filled with the master CDs. So we finished that. We went down to Brentwood, actually, not far from here, on the other side of 65 from where we are now, and we had a guy basically duplicate the master CD in his basement. He had a bunch of computers that would print like 10 at a time. We did 1,000 of those, and then we jumped on a plane. Got out of this was 2010, so we got on a plane, got one of the last flights out of Nashville before the big storm came in and the flood.
How big is that? Like 1,000 cities? I mean, how are you traveling with that?
They come in. They're like in, we had to just pack them into a suitcase.
Yeah.
So they were in like we just put in bundles of 100 or 200 or whatever it was in the little cases, and we got one of the last flights out in 2010 before the flood, and then we went to Long Island and flew in. We stuffed all the CDs into the cases in the Holiday Inn Express in Long Island, and then we went to our CD release show, which was in Jamaica, Queens, at a church, and there were people lined up around the block to get into this show, and we're like, what's going on,
Yeah. How did you market that?
Well, back then there was, we didn't really even have social media,
right?
And so it was just, we had just been going back and forth to New York for 3 years.
Okay,
we had been building that market, and our promoter at the time, Jackson, he's like, they're singing your music at the Brooklyn Tabernacle. So they were singing our song "Great and Mighty" over at the Brooklyn Tabernacle, and we get there and there's 1,000 people at this show, a CD release party, and then shortly after that, we were approached by Sony and Byron Cage, which is a big gospel artist at the time, covered our song "Great and Mighty." That made Gospel Wow 2013, and then shortly after that, Ty Tribbett cut another one of our tunes called "Champion," and we ended up with a. It was a wildly serendipitously successful. Yeah, and it was just 5 broke dudes from Dayton, Ohio, driving around in a Chrysler minivan.
Can you find that music on?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Champion Live. Yeah,
Champion Live.
Yeah, Champion Live. Yep. I'm beardless and a lot younger.
Wow. We'll have to check that out.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Champion Live.
Yep. And then So and from that I transitioned. Out of that, we had an unfortunate accident in that band. The drummer actually broke his neck, which was unfortunate. And so he's up in Chicago now, and so the band disbanded, I guess if you will. And from there I moved on into the kind of singer-songwriter world. Toured with a guy named Eric Baker out of Knoxville for about 3 years. That was a lot of fun. Yeah. And then from there got into if you want to ask me, I can kind of explain kind of how I got into the big country stuff, but that's the transition. That's really how I went from college to the military and back and got back into music.
Yeah. So with Tipsee being mainly support system and technology for artists mainly in the Broadway circuit, but also kind of the same types of venues. What was your first ever live show at a small bar, honky tonk kind of style?
So. I had played some bar stuff in college, but the first
on the fiddle, violin, or
no, I was just playing fiddle, standing in with bands and things like that. Yeah. And actually, when I was in high school, even I had a girlfriend who had a stepdad who played in a rock band, and I played on his little record in his living room and played a show with them at the Blue Note. in Cincinnati, Ohio. But the first really that I can remember memorably was I had a little Yamaha PA system, and I set the Yamaha PA and my piano and guitar and my violin, and I set it up in front of the Golden Tee, the Golden Tee, at this little place called the Sub House, which was like, and I would sit there on Saturday nights, and I'd play from 10 to 2 for $150 or however much it was, and I would just force out as many cover songs as I could get into my brain. Did
anyone come up and hit a few links there while you're playing?
No, they would. There were certainly people that were like, "Come on, man, I want to play the Gold D."
Yeah, someone's sliding in there and
I
just
don't want to listen to your stupid music.
hitting the back nine while you're just just belting out. Yeah,
exactly.
That's great. And did you ever play any like the smaller venues here in Nashville at all? Or
yeah, no. The first place that I ever played in Nashville and got paid to play in Nashville was Third and Lindsley.
Third and Lindsley, yeah,
Third and Lindsley. So that's a great room.
Oh yeah,
still there,
still is. Yeah,
it's the first place I ever had a paying gig in Nashville, Tennessee. Was at Third and Lindsley.
Yeah, that's a great venue.
Yeah, it's a great little venue.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, because you see all these different kind of historical venues like that going away, so hopefully that continues to remain.
Yeah, I mean that's if we can stop them from tearing the stuff down. And
yeah, I think we got enough apartments here.
Yeah, we have enough apartments, enough condos, and enough parking lots, parking garages.
Yeah,
we'll be all right.
With the stadium change though, I think they're even going to build even more over there. So it's
I know. Yeah,
I don't get it.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll
hit a breaking point.
Yeah, at some point they'll stop.
Yeah, yeah, because we know our infrastructure can't handle it.
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
But so. And then beyond that, what is your favorite venue to go to here in Nashville, big and small?
I mean, my favorite venue to go to and watch a concert is the Ryman.
Oh yeah.
Just because of the history with it being the original Opry,
right?
The mother church, and and thank God they didn't tear that down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
I think that's safe.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah, and I believe I remember hearing years ago, I don't know how long ago it was, but there was at one point in time some talks of tearing it down and doing something, and they were able to hold that off. So that's really good. So yeah, that's for sure my favorite. It's a lot of history there. First time I ever played it was just kind of surreal to stand on that stage and be a part of that. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So you've played in the Ryman?
I have played the Ryman. Yep.
How many times? And
I've played the Ryman. When I say first time, it might be. I've only played the Ryman once.
Okay.
Played the Ryman once in 2014.
Okay. Who were you playing with?
So at that time, I was on the road with opening for an a cappella group called Straight No Chaser.
Straight No Chaser.
Yeah, Straight No Chaser. Guys have become great friends of mine over the years, and I was. Basically music directing and producing a young lady who had just come off of season 4 of The Voice. Her name was Caroline Glazer. They had asked me to go out and do that. So we did, she had, what a wonderful ride she had. She came off the show and was, had an amazing opportunity to go out with these guys, and these guys were doing, 70 plus shows sold out at nothing smaller than the Ryman.
Wow.
So that was a big tour and a lot of fun to do. But yeah, that was it was just a get up there and just her and I on stage and it was
that's
a lot
cool.
of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's unfortunately I don't think there's a need for cowbell right now at the Ryman, so I don't think I'll be playing there anytime soon. But have you played the Grand Ole Opry? Actually, yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. I have played the Opry.
Did you play it maybe I think right around the time I first met you?
Yep. We did a military salute. This was with the War Hippies,
right?
And they had actually, we did our own kind of set, but we did our own set in between. They had brought a full orchestra in, I believe, from Washington D.C. to do a Veterans Day.
Oh, that's cool.
Tribute. So it was really cool.
It makes sense because that event was around in November.
Yep.
So because remember it's kind of chilly out. It's actually right around this time. So
yeah.
So I mean, outside of playing the violin and fiddle, and or fiddle, so last time we were together, we were at your studio.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing was awesome.
Yeah.
So outside of just playing music and writing music and all that, what kind of stuff are you doing in the studio? And, how long have you been in that side of the business?
Well, speaking of Champion, that was the first record I produced.
Okay.
As a co-producer on it. We produced it together, and then we had another engineer that was helping us. But I've been, since about 2010, I started out with a little studio in my bedroom up in Ohio. I had a mentor, I had a mentor who had worked in television and film music out of Knoxville. And so I was doing he taught me how to build my first studio with the keyboard and the speakers, and I would, create music for, the History Channel and Home and Garden Television and things like that.
That's cool.
And then, so after I finished touring with Eric Baker, I then went on to tour with a group called the Frontmen, which were the lead singers of Little Texas, Restless Heart, and Lone Star. That's cool. And
yeah. Okay. I think I've seen them.
Yep.
A couple of years ago at the rooftop thing on Broadway.
Yep. Tim and Larry and Richie. And so it was the four of us, and I would go out and tour with them. And about 2.5 years into that, we had just done the first inauguration for Donald Trump. We did the Make America Great Again ceremony with.
That's right.
Where we were up on the Lincoln Memorial, and we sang all those, God Bless Texas and Bluest Eyes in Texas, and I think Richie sang I'm Already There, and so it was really cool. And then Lee Greenwood came out, and we did God Bless the USA. It was
That's
really,
so cool.
really special moment. And then so right after that, right around that time, I was afforded an opportunity. I found a space in Nashville. So in the first part of 2017, I was able to build that studio in Nashville, after, remove it, basically take it from my house.
Yeah.
Because it had been slowly evolving in my home.
So all that was in your house before?
Not all of that. All of that. What's in the commercial space now is definitely a lot more than what it was ever in the house. But it had been evolving from a keyboard and a couple speakers to then a control surface and a couple rooms for tracking. So then I was able to do that, and I was able to build that. And so I've been full-time producing and performing and playing and touring since starting in about 2010, but in Nashville, full-time producing and since about 2017.
Yeah. And so with that transition producer, you're doing stuff for the History Channel and all that stuff?
Yeah.
So how do you get that kind of contract? It's kind of random, but obviously they need it because they use it all the time for all the documentaries and stuff.
It was just serendipitous. I had a mentor who had done that and had those connections and knew how to do it. And that was transitioning from, back in the day, it used to be I'd get an episode, and it would be you'd score it by the 4 commercial breaks, so Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, and it would be within like a 30-minute, and then that started transitioning into catalog music. So basically would create a whole bunch of different sounds and background music that would be anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute long, and they would be compiled into a large catalog in which the producers and the music supervisors for the programs could pick from and kind of align that stuff for themselves. And so that kind of really turned into a quantity game. And so, moved out of that into the songwriting and the production, the actual song production aspect.
Yeah.
Just a natural transition.
That's cool. I mean, cause I always think about that stuff sometimes, because there's been things I've watched and definitely nothing you ever did that was kind of questionable.
Yeah.
On some of the background music, I'm like, did they just pull that out of a database?
They just pulled it out of a database somewhere. Yeah. It's just filler. It's just there.
But then, sometimes I'll put on the Planet Earth or whatever late at night if I can't sleep, and that sometimes will do the trick.
Yeah.
So which I think is an accomplishment.
Yeah.
Because you're relaxing the audience or whatever.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah. So in terms of production, so you're starting to, so that you started with that, correct? With the background stuff?
I had already done Champion.
That's right, Champion. Okay.
And so I had already kind of worked in from the basic recording to the final master of that project, and hadn't really done any other projects other than that. So I was doing a lot of the TV and film kind of background stuff, and then that transition. So I started really wanting to work with artists. So I mean, I would work with anyone I could.
Yeah.
Anyone who would let me. I mean, for basically experiment.
Yeah.
Is because you're cutting.
That's how this whole thing came together. Is experimentation.
Yeah, you're cutting your teeth. You're trying to do the best you can, but it's funny. I listen back to things I did 15 years ago, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's good that you're always growing and like teaching yourself and adapting and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So
where you're at now with all that experience, are you working on anything in particular right now, or anything that you're really excited about?
Yeah, I've got a new artist. He's a young guy named Cody Bradley. He's a fantastic songwriter. He's also a
Cody Bradley.
He's also a United States Army combat veteran.
Oh wow.
He's a great songwriter. Just cut 4 on him. Getting ready to cut 4 more. And working with that. And then I'm actually at this point in my career getting, working on picking songs and taking songs that I've written and cutting for myself, right. Which will be nice to get out there and sing my own stuff. And, but yeah, no, I'm always working on stuff like that. Always, trying to see if they can sing something in a video game or in a movie, or just a lot of stuff coming at all different times.
Yeah. And so when you're writing music for yourself to sing, are you always kind of planning that you're going to be playing the violin at the same time, or
no? Usually I'll be if I'm playing and singing, I'll be playing piano and singing, or playing guitar and singing.
Okay.
Or just if there isn't, if you're doing something where it's a heavy fiddle or something like that, I might have a fiddle in my hand and hit the microphone and play in between or something like that. But it varies, because
it's got to be hard to play and sing, right?
Oh yeah. You're not playing and singing at the same time. Just kind of like I would sometimes when I would do BGVs and things like the War Hippies, you'd see me up there playing and singing a background vocal at the same time. But that's a little unique to that situation.
Yeah, I didn't think about it until I thought about it.
It's
like that must be pretty hard. As if playing the fiddle isn't hard enough,
Well, it's multitasking.
So, with the War Hippies, you have anything on the horizon, or planning to do stuff with that?
The War Hippies has kind of been on the back burner for a while. So not really sure what's going to be the future of that. Still, obviously, everything's still out there, and don't have any current music in the works at this particular time, but definitely revamping it and figuring out what because we had such a great response from that brand and from and from the music and everything. It was greatly successful. So just trying to figure out what that'll look like moving forward.
Yeah,
nothing concrete.
Yeah, well, definitely want to see some more of that type of music and stuff coming out, because it was just awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
And like I said, it's just more dynamic, and it's everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's different. It's a good different.
Yeah, it was.
So, I mean, we've already kind of touched on a little bit, but you were you in the Army? Is that right?
I was. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously we have War Hippies.
Mm-hmm.
So how much does the military experience come into, how much you're writing in terms of music, and is it a big?
Well, so yes and no, because obviously the things that you learn, in combat, the things that you face, they really shape you, and what you learn from those experiences, like our song, for instance, when we were in the War Hippies, Make It Out Alive, 18 feels like you're so grown up. You volunteer to fight for the things you love. You sacrifice everything you love and hold dear. You can die for your country, but you can't drink a beer.
Right.
Those types of things, are always kind of coming out. And, some of the good, the bad, and the ugly that comes from military experience and combat experience definitely shapes you as a person, as a human, and it shapes your character. And so, as you evolve as a person, your writing evolves, and you're able to apply those experiences and that wisdom, and then that will really help. But as far as my writing directly about military experience, no. Yeah. Usually not. Or is I try not to make the military aspect or that particular season of my life the forefront. It's an accent. It's a thing that I did.
Yeah.
And then the music is the part you want to focus on.
Right. And to jump way back, so we said we're in college and left to go to the military. Was it? And I think based on some of the timeline indicators you said before, was that around 2001?
Yeah. So I have an interesting, experience with that. I was in college, and I had, my great uncle Donald landed on the beaches in Normandy. My grandpa was in the Marine Corps, Korean veteran, during the Korean War and all that. My Uncle Tony did two tours in Vietnam, Marine Corps infantry. My Uncle Jimmy was also Marine Corps. And, so I had always had a strong proclivity, to kind of to want to serve, and had a strong sense of patriotism and pride in that. And my dad, I was kind of honestly burning out on music because I had done it so much and was in college for it, and that's all I did. And my dad had always said, you can do three things. You can learn a trade, you can go to college, or you can join the military. And, I had learned a bunch of trades working with him, welding, building, mechanicing, all those different types of things. And I was kind of burning on the college thing. So I was like, okay. So I had a buddy who was in the Ohio National Guard, and he said, man, you can do this while you're in school. And so I said, okay, cool. So I didn't know anything about the military at the time. Yeah. So I go down to the recruiter, and they're like, yeah, we've got a spot here. And, they only had like one MOS open, which was like 62 Bravo or something. And I was like, sure, no big deal. And so I thought, let's go. I'm going to go to get basic and AIT and stuff out of the way. So I go and do that, basic and AIT. I come back to school. I'm home for 2 weeks. I go to Fort Benning, Georgia for basic training. I go to Fort Leonard Wood for my AIT. I come back to college. I start the semester in August, and 2 weeks later, the towers go down.
Okay.
And I'm standing in the laundromat just off of campus in Oxford, Ohio. And I watch up on the little, remember back in the day they had the TVs weren't flat. They were
the boob tubes.
Boob tubes. Yep. And so watched all that unfold, and I was actually still wearing one of my Army PT shirts at the laundromat. And so, came back in, and since I'd already been through basic and AIT, I was like, I got this out of the way. I went into the dean of music, who had awarded me my full scholarship in Miami, and I said, I'm going to finish out the semester, and I'm going to, go into the Army. I'm going to leave school and go to the Army. So I had a ship date in early 2002. I went up and changed my MOS to get out of the National Guard Battalion. I was going to go I was going to go back down to Fort Benning and do all the 11 Bravo training with the airborne options and all the other stuff that goes along with that to go into, what I wanted to do, and then my grandpa got sick in 2002 of lung cancer. So I stayed with him, took care of him at the house, and spent that year. And so the ship date got moved to 2003, spring of 2003. And so that's all good to go. Just took that year, pushed it a little bit. And Valentine's Day of 2003, I have a ship date of like March or April to go back down to Benning. I get a call from my NCOIC in the National Guard unit that I'm in, and they're like, you've been mobilized. So the National Guard Battalion that I was in when I was in college got mobilized, and that's who I went to Iraq with in 2004. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, with 216th Engineer Battalion with the 1st Infantry Division.
Wow.
Yeah, man. It's been a year in Iraq. Got in there February of 2004 and came back February of 2005.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a wild.
So the National Guard pulled you in and then over?
Yeah. Yeah, they mobilized our National Guard Battalion, made us active duty, and we trained up and then shipped over to Iraq in 2004.
I'd never heard of a story like that before. So
yeah.
I didn't know they were at that point in doing that. I thought they had enough.
Yeah, and it was early on too. It was very early on. General Petraeus nicknamed our unit the workhorse of the 1st Infantry Division because we were a big, gigantic engineer battalion.
Yeah.
So we did everything that you can, imagine, just running all over that country. And we used to, towards the, about 6 months in, I'd be on a 50 caliber machine gun or whatever. We'd be leaving, and you get to the test pit or whatever, and you just go like this, because it was just one of those one of those experiences where you're, if I make it out alive,
yeah, that's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, that's, and so needless to say, when after a year of that, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back to music.
Yeah. Safer. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
That's wild though.
I probably should have waited and done all the training and done the things I wanted to. Probably would have been a little wiser.
Yeah.
But we were so young and like, yeah, let's go. And, we get over there and like, we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, the average age of most people going over there usually is like pretty young. So
yeah, we were
still developing that mind.
100%. I don't think we had really any idea how dangerous what we were doing really was.
Yeah. That's wild. I mean, I just have never heard a story of the National Guard being pulled in like that and shipped over. I didn't know that there was a need to do that.
Yeah, we were the largest battalion to be mobilized and shipped since World War II.
Really?
Yeah.
And they decided in the middle of Ohio is where news started.
Middle of Ohio, because we were like a combat heavy, engineer battalion. So we just, at the time, we were needed.
Yeah.
There was a lot of infrastructure being built and a lot of things that needed,
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot going on.
You're building little miniature cities and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, and just basically, it turned into just driving around trying not to get blown up.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, for sure.
What was the wildest thing that you had to build quick, or
it was always the heavy construction equipment were, they were always building berms and things for FOBs, forward operating bases, things like that. So, and it would just depend on, when and where, or what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there would be nothing going on, and then sometimes, it would be,
we need this done yesterday. Yeah,
we need it done yesterday, or there's just enemies all. It just would depend completely. And you'd have these like great long lulls of nothing, and then you'd have all hell would break loose.
That's wild. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that you appreciate having the experience and having gone through what you went through, and then. Where you are now, it's probably definitely helped you get along, right?
Yeah, 100%. I always say it's $1 million experience I wouldn't pay $1 for.
Yeah, there you go. That makes sense.
But yeah, no, it was, and I'd like to think, and commend, because basically I'm in Iraq with, for all intents and purposes, it's farmers from Ohio.
Yeah.
And so they were brave men and women. I mean, to answer that call and to go and into that level of theater.
Yeah.
Truly was, we're brave. And I'm thankful for the experience.
Yeah. And now that I think about it, I'm gonna have to go back on one of my previous statements. I actually think one of the English teachers at my school when I was growing up, he got pulled in from National Guard to go over there.
Yeah.
He was like a general or something.
Yeah, it was wild. And and you went from just, doing that and for me, I thought, well, I already want to go do this and do that and it was a completely different experience, And so but yeah, no, it was unique, and I'm the like the it's like the average Joe,
Yeah.
I don't have, we just were like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy though. Well, on behalf of Talking Tipsee and Four Branches, we want to thank you for your service. So here's a challenge coin from the Four Branches guys.
Thank you very much.
And
I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And I'm going to just pour a little glass here for myself here, because I know, taking it easy today. But so as we close out today, obviously thank you for your service, of course. And
yeah, absolutely.
It's actually worked out. And I'll kind of talk to you about it afterwards, but some of the people we've already had on here were actually in different branches of the military already too. They're singers and songwriters. That was not intentional. So it's just been cool.
Oh, very cool.
How things have lined up. But 4 branches. It's all 4 branches of the military. The founders, it's a startup essentially.
Okay.
They're about 2 to 3 years old now. And, I met them through our good friend Paul out in Arizona. Okay. And they're doing some great things. They've actually already raised over $500,000 for first responders' families and stuff like that.
Fantastic.
So, good group of guys, good brand, good everything.
Yeah.
America through and through, and it's actually very good bourbon too.
Yeah. Well, back in the day before before I got sober, I am sober, 18 months now, but back in the day, I would have very much enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Probably would have finished that whole bottle with you.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to be doing that today. Yeah. I've slowed down a little bit myself.
That's good.
But yeah, so the whole thing is, touching the military aspect is, it's not who you drink to forget, it's who you sip to remember. So
sure.
In closing today, even though we're not drinking, when it comes to your experience in the military or just people that are important to you throughout your life, if you were to take a sip to remember, is there anyone specific or anything in particular you'd like to kind of shout out to?
Yeah. I mean, my buddy, Sam Bowen, was our first KIA in Iraq 2004. He was actually the 1,000th man on the number to be killed in theater. And so, and to the other people we lost, Wilkins, and so it's and honestly, to their families, to their brothers and sisters, their moms and dads, and to all of the all the fallen and anyone who's paid the ultimate sacrifice. It's always important to remember and honor them, because that's why we're free, man.
Mm-hmm. Can't take it for granted.
No, we can't.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that, and thanks for talking tipsy with us today. And thank you again to 4 Branches and Michael Waltrip Brewery. And Donnie, we'll see you soon.
All right, man.
Thanks,
Thank
brother.
you.